Hello, I'm Cath. This is made by Cath Craft. Thank you very much for joining me for this video. So in this video, I'm going to be talking all about a couple of new sewing projects that I've got planned, and they are both hopefully going to be a lot of fun because they are projects where I'm going to transform a couple of older garments that I have that I'm not really reaching for. So instead of starting with new fabric, I'm starting with an old garment or two and hoping to really change them up. I'm really looking forward to getting started on that because it's not something I do a great deal of, so it's going to be a really nice challenge. And I am making these upcycled garments as part of a challenge that's currently running here on YouTube and over on Instagram, which is called Sew Upcycle 23. I'll put the hashtag here in case you fancy checking it out over on Instagram or popping it into the YouTube search function so you can watch other videos about it, because there's quite a lot of vloggers getting involved. And it's being run by Karen, who is So Little Time, and Becky, who's Notes of the Sewing Room, both very lovely ladies. And I think they're running this challenge for the second year now. I joined in last year too, and I thought it was a lot of fun, and like I say, a bit out of my comfort zone. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting involved again this year. So I'll pop a little slide up so you can see all the details of the Sew Upcycle challenge. You basically have to make a new garment, either using an old garment that you upcycle or something else like a duvet cover or an old bedsheet or something like that. Basically anything that isn't a new piece of fabric or fabric remnant. And I think you can make a garment or a bag too. And then everyone's going to reveal their upcycled makes on the 31st of October over on Instagram using the Sew Upcycle 23 hashtag. And when you if you're joining in, when you upload your photo, you need to also include a photo of what the garment or piece of fabric looked like before, so everyone can see the transformation. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to getting involved. I just need to get busy now and actually getting on with my plans because I've got some ideas in my head, but yeah, it's a bit different to my usual sewing project where I start with a piece of fabric, use a pattern. This is going to take a bit of imagination, so yeah, it should be a lot of fun. So I'm going to talk all about a couple of older upcycle garments that I've worked on. I thought I'd share a couple of my older upcycling projects just for some inspiration, and then I'm going to share a bit about my plans for this month. But before I start talking about my previous upcycling projects and my plans for Sew Upcycle 23, I'll start this video off like usual by sharing what I'm wearing today for my handmade wardrobe. And today I've actually got on a handmade blouse and a handmade skirt, so I'm quite handmade today, and I'll talk about the blouse first. This is an older make actually. I haven't had it out for a while. I don't often tend to reach for a blouse, but whenever I do wear a blouse, I think I should get my blouses out more often. And I made this one using this pattern here, which is the blouse pattern by the avid seamstress. This is actually the first ever blouse pattern I tried sewing when I was quite new to sewing, and it worked quite well as a first time blouse pattern sewing project because it's quite a simple blouse. I've got the line drawings here so I can show you. First, it's got a band collar rather than a sort of full collar with stand and everything. It's not got any darts, it's got a simple button down front, and then the sleeves are sort of just designed to come sort of finished just above the elbow, and they're just finished with an elastic channel at the bottom rather than a sort of proper blouse cuff. So yeah, it's quite a simple blouse, quite a manageable first blouse project, which I found good when I remember sewing it and thinking, gosh, there's still quite a few tricky bits, the band collar and the placket, but it wasn't too overwhelming. So it's a really nice blouse pattern, and I find the avid seamstress instructions are really comprehensive. There's sort of loads of information, loads of photographs. So it does feel like it's one of those pattern companies that hold your hand quite well to the sewing process. And I think I've maybe made 3 of the blouse pattern. This wasn't my first one. This I actually made out of a remnant left over from another project. It's a really nice sort of just classic blue chambray fabric that I think works really well for a blouse. And then I added on some buttons that I think I'd had in my button stash that I'd taken off another garment that was sort of gone tatty. I always try and remember when garments get to that point to try and take off like buttons and things I might be able to repurpose for another project. So I thought those ones work quite well and they're quite cute. And I've added on little blue thread tie-in with the sort of blue chambray. And I pretty much made this pattern straight from the packet. I think I made the size 0 based on my bust measurement. It's got quite a straight fit, so my waist and hips are a size 1 rather than a size 0, but I didn't grade out, I don't think. and there's still plenty of room there. I'll stand up it so you can see. So yeah, it's quite a nice simple little blouse pattern, quite nice and comfy with the elastic on the sleeves. And yeah, nice to be able to make it just straight out of the envelope. It fits me quite well. So yeah, that's what I've got on top. And then on the bottom, I've got a skirt that I made using one of my favourite skirt patterns, which I've talked about a lot, so I won't talk about too much now. It's this one here. It is the Estuary skirt by So Liberated. It's a really nice skirt with a flat fronted waistband elastic at the back and then sort of gathering. And I've made a few versions where I've cropped it off to mini skirt length. So I'll stand up so you can see the print on the version I'm wearing today. I think all of my Estuary skirts have a print on. I don't think I've ever made a plain one actually, but I'll stand up and show you the one I'm wearing today. So I made it using a lovely floaty viscose fabric, which I find works really well for the Estuary skirt pattern. I pretty much always make it in a viscose. I did a long time ago make a version in a cotton linen blend, and I found it really bulky around the waist. It didn't work half as well, I found. And it just didn't feel so comfy on me. But this is a viscose fabric with this lovely sort of poppy print on. I really like it. I got this, it was like a real bargain I got from John Lewis a few years ago, and I've worn this skirt so much, washed it so much, and it's just, the fabric just lasts and lasts. It really hasn't faded much. The black colour and the bright pinks, they just stayed really lovely. So it's really nice quality fabric. So that's what I've got on today. I'll put a picture up so you can see what it looks like on. I feel quite put together today in this outfit with a little blouse on, but it's quite comfy too. So yeah, that's a winner. So that is what I'm wearing today, but I'll move on now to sharing with you, just my old upcycling project and then my plans for Upcycle 2023. So I thought I'd start off by sharing my upcycling project that I worked on last year for Upcycle 22, because I was quite pleased with this one actually, and I've enjoyed wearing it since I've upcycled it. And I basically changed a dress into a top, and the dress I originally made using this pattern here, which is a lovely pattern. It is the Plum Dress pattern by Cocowawa Crafts. So it's a really cute sort of baby doll, oversized, relaxed fit dress pattern. It's got a wintry version with these sort of sleeves, or you can make a summery version, which is the version I really love, with this little sort of shoulder ruffle, or I guess it's not exactly a shoulder ruffle because it's got a bit of a drop shoulder, so it's a little bit off the shoulder. And then it's got quite a high waist with a gathered skirt added on, and a button down back too. I do love a button down back. So this is the original pattern I made, and I made a dress in it. It was actually my second dress I made using the Plum Dress pattern, and I really, really love my first Plum Dress. I made it in a blue double gauze. I really enjoy getting out in the summer. I feel like the fabric really suits the pattern because the gauze has got a bit of body to it. You can really see the ruffles. So I went on to make a second version of the Plum Dress in a viscose fabric, and I just didn't really like it as much. I think it's a slightly oversized dress, but with the viscose it's sort of draped, so you didn't get that oversized effect so much. And you couldn't really see the ruffle as much because the viscose was so drapey, it just sort of flopped down, and I wasn't reaching for it. I didn't feel so great when I wore it. I think I'd added waist ties as well to cinch it in at the waist. It just didn't feel quite right. That isn't part of the design of the dress. That was just me, I guess, maybe trying to kind of make it work, but it just didn't quite work. I wasn't really wearing it. And I think also it was in a print, and again, the print meant some of the features in the Plum Dress were lost too. So it was a dress sitting in my wardrobe that I thought, let's try and mix it up and turn it into something that I'd enjoy wearing more. So here is my upcycled Plum Dress, and what I basically did was turn it into a cute little top with a little sort of ruffly peplum on the bottom. So I kept the sleeve ruffles, and I think they're maybe a bit more obvious now that there's not so much of a skirt and they don't get so lost there. I kept the button down back with these cute little yellow buttons, and again, a bit like this blouse, I used black thread sort of tying with the black base for this fabric. And yeah, I just I unpicked the skirt, took out the pockets. There's a lot of overlocker thread to unpick. Took out the side seam ties, cropped it off, and turned it into this cute little frilly top. And I really enjoy wearing this one in summer. It's really nice and floaty and light to wear. It works really well with a pair of jeans, or I've got a pair of black shorts I like to wear it with too. So yeah, I was really glad to upcycle it, and it was quite a straightforward upcycle. Really, but it made all the difference, and I just think it's such a pretty print. I was really glad to be able to still enjoy the print because I do love the colours in this one. So that was my upcycle project from last year, and I did film a video last year talking in more detail about that upcycling project. I think I maybe released it on the reveal date of Upcycle 22, so I'll link that video up above in case you fancy having a watch of that. Last year I also did a sort of sew upcycling plans video as well, where I talked in there about a few older upcycling projects I'd done. So I'll link that video down below as well, just in case you fancy having a bit of a watch of a few upcycling videos of mine and maybe getting a bit of inspiration from the projects I have done over the years. So that's one of my upcycling projects I wanted to share. And then I did another small upcycling project earlier this year. And this time I decided to upcycle a ready-to-wear garment that I'd had for quite a while and again wasn't reaching for. And this one was a really simple upcycle, but it was really worth doing, so I thought I'd share it. So I basically upcycled a Maxi dress, a jersey Maxi dress that I'd had for absolutely years. And I turned it into a little top here. So this is the top that I upcycled. So it used to be a sort of floor length maxi dress and I wasn't really reaching for it. I didn't find the shape of it so flattering. I think it was just a bit sort of baggy around the waist. It might have been just a little bit too short. I think maybe after a few washes it had turned a bit too short, so it wasn't really maxi length. And I could have, I guess, made some adjustments to the waist and sort of turned it into a shorter jersey dress or something like that. But actually I thought it would make a great bedtime vest top for the summer. And that was something I needed in my wardrobe. So I thought rather than buy one or make something out of new fabric, I could just transform this dress into a little top. And I think the colour is not really a colour I go for so much. I'm not sure I suit this kind of shade of grey so much. So I thought it'd be perfect for bedtime. So it's really simple, just cropped it off. I think I used a twin needle to just finish it around the bottom. And yeah, a very, very simple upcycling project. And I've got loads of use out of that. I've worn it a lot as a sort of pyjama item. So yeah, I was glad to have done that, a very simple project. So those are a couple of the upcycling projects that I've worked on over the last few months. One using a handmade garment and one using a ready-to-wear garment. And actually for this year's Sew Upcycle, I've also got my eye on transforming one handmade garment and one ready-to-wear garment too. So I thought I'd talk first about the ready-to-wear garment because actually it'll look quite familiar. It's very similar to the grey top I just showed you. It's pretty much a blue version of it. So here is the blue jersey maxi dress that I'd like to upcycle. So it's very long, as you can see. It's another garment I bought years ago, definitely before I started sewing my own handmade garments. And I think at the time, I guess this sort of style of dress was really in. So I bought a couple of versions, the grey one and the blue one. And again, it's probably has similar issues to the grey one. The fit isn't that great. It doesn't feel that kind of great on me. I think after a few washes, the hem's kind of gone a bit wonky. It's maybe stretched out and that sort of thing. So I'd really like to do something with it. But I really love the colour of this one. I really love this royal blue colour. It's a colour I really enjoy wearing. So I'd love to transform this one into something a bit more exciting than just a bedtime vest top. So I have a few ideas of what I'd like to do. I'm not sure, there's quite a lot of fabric obviously because it is quite long to play with. So I'm going to have a little think about what I could do with it. But I definitely want to transform it so it looks quite different to this long maxi dress. I'll actually share a picture now of me. I'm just going to go and pop this on in a minute and share a picture now of what it looks like now so you can see how it is at the moment. And then yeah, hopefully I'll be able to transform it into something more exciting. I think it's going to be a fun project because like I said at the beginning of this video, I generally start with a pattern and some instructions, but this will be a lot more freestyle. So yeah, I need to have a real think about how I can use the fabric to turn it into something a bit more fun and something that feels a bit more comfortable to wear, but I can still enjoy wearing out and about and enjoying this pretty blue colour. So that is my first plan for Sew Upcycle 23. Hopefully I can transform this into something that I'll reach for more and feel more comfortable wearing. So yeah, I think it's just a plain old cotton jersey. I do like a cotton jersey. And yeah, it's all quite nicely finished. It's kind of got little sort of jersey binding around the neckline and armhole and things. So it's a nicely finished garment. So it'll be nice to be able to transform into something that I do reach for more. So that is my first plan for Sew Upcycle 2023 to transform this old ready-to-wear garment. So the next garment that I'd like to upcycle is, like I mentioned, a handmade garment. And this one is a dress I think I made towards the beginning of last year. But it's one I haven't really worn at all since I made it. Even when I've had the opportunity, I haven't really reached for it. Which is a real shame because obviously I do like to wear my handmade garments. I like to make garments I'm going to enjoy wearing a lot. So yeah, it's a real shame, this garment. But there are a few reasons I know why I haven't reached for it. So I'll talk about those in a moment. But I'll share the pattern I used to make this dress first. And it is this pattern here, which is the New Look N6682 pattern. And I remember choosing this pattern to sew at the time because I was conscious that I was sewing a lot of indie patterns, and if you've watched my channel for a while, you know that's generally what I prefer to sew. I think when I started sewing, I found the instructions that held your hand a bit more, so I felt more comfortable sewing them, and I just generally, even now, just really enjoy choosing the indie patterns. But I did think about a year or so ago, I should really give some big 4 patterns a go as well, because I don't want to write them off, and having had a few more years sewing experience under my belt, I thought the instructions may be a lot more manageable and not so daunting as I'd found them when I first started sewing. And I thought it'd be a bit of fun to give one a go that looked a bit more of a challenge and see how far I'd come my sewing and if I could manage it okay and just how I got on. And also get an idea of the sizing and that sort of thing, and see whether maybe in the future I should choose a few more big 4 patterns and not always opt for the indie ones. So anyway, I decided to give this dress a go, and it just caught my eye because I thought it was a really pretty one and had some really pretty details to it. So I made this version here, view A. It's a woven dress pattern. It's got an invisible zip down the back, that's how you get in and out of it. It's got a sort of cinched in waist with a little bit of gathering at the front here, which creates a slightly blousy bodice. Then it's got this neck, sort of high neck, high collar. And it's a bit of an unusual one. You can't really see it very easily on the camera here, but there's a sort of folded detail to it. So yeah, it's a bit more fiddly than your average sort of collar. I thought that's quite a pretty detail. Then it's got these billowy sleeves that come down to a cuff at the bottom that has little buttons to do up, which I thought was another cute detail. Then it's got this sort of fairly flowy skirt that I think is designed to be sort of a midi length. So it was different to what I had in my wardrobe. I thought it'd be a fun one to give a try and just see how I got on with it. So I made a version. I decided to go for a version in a simple black viscose challis that I got from Minerva, which is quite reasonably priced. So I didn't want to spend too much in case it turned into a disaster. I don't want to waste an expensive fabric, but I like the idea of a simple black dress anyway. So here is my version of this new look 6682. That's another thing with the big 4 patterns. I always forget the names of them. I quite like how the indie patterns have sort of names that you can remember more easily. But anyway, this is my version. So you can see this sort of pretty gathering at the front. You can see this collar, which actually I found really tricky to do, and it isn't the best finish on it by any means. It's got the invisible zip at the back. Oh, it has little buttons at the back of the collar too. I made little rouleau loops. I don't know if you can see them. I made little rouleau loops there to sort of for the buttons. It's got the long billowy sleeve with, again, little buttons and the rouleau loops, and then quite a swishy long skirt. So yeah, this is the dress I made. I think what I'm going to do actually is go and pop it on so I can share a few of the things I'm not too sure about when I wear it. So I'm going to pop it on, and then I'm going to talk a bit more about why it's not really working for me and I'm not really reaching for it, and I want to upcycle it. So yeah, back in a moment. So I'm back now, and as you can see, I've got the dress on. And it feels a bit funny to be sitting here when I'm filming in the daytime wearing this dress, which feels like it's very much an evening dress. It feels quite formal, but I thought it'd be useful to get it on so I can really talk through the things about it that don't quite work for me and why I do want to kind of try and upcycle it. So first of all, I thought I'd talk about the fabric, which, like I mentioned, is a viscose challis fabric from Minerva, and it's a really lovely fabric. It's really nice quality viscose, lovely and soft and drapey. And I really like the colour black. It's a colour I feel really comfortable wearing. I think it suits my skin tone. So yeah, nothing wrong with the fabric at all. It's mainly, I think, on this dress, all about the finish and the fit. Both those I don't think are quite right. So the first thing that I don't think works is about the finish, and this is entirely me, not the pattern at all. The finish of this neckband here. So like I mentioned, the neckband's designed to be most folded over to create a pretty effect. And when I cut out the neckband, I think you cut it on the bias, and I tried to fold it over and get it all neat, but it just kept stretching. I think with it being on the bias, I just could not get it to press nicely into the shape it was supposed to be without stretching out. So I ended up recutting the neckband, not on the bias, so it would be less easy to stretch. It was still really hard, and I still really struggled to make it work, and I ended up top stitching it down, but I didn't get a great finish on it. As you can see, it doesn't really hang that nicely. And I'm quite conscious about it because it's right there and below my face on my neck, and I just don't feel so comfortable that it looks that good, or it might be noticeable that it doesn't look right. So it's something that makes me feel not so comfortable about this dress, just my own sewing and the fact that I didn't get a great finish on this collar. So I'd really like to change that. I think also I'm not always a fan of a high neck, and it does feel quite warm. I think maybe some interfacing in there, a couple of layers of fabric, so maybe it's not my most comfortable neckline as well. So that's the first thing. The second thing is just the fit of the dress, and that's partly me, again. I haven't tried a lot of big four patterns in terms of sizing, but I decided to do a standard adjustment for me, which I do on a lot of patterns, which is to lengthen the body slightly because I do have a longer torso. But I don't think I needed to do that on this pattern, and it's ended up feeling like the waist line just sits a little bit too low. I'll stand up a bit so you can see where it sits. So it sits down here, and it feels like it just sort of, it just doesn't feel like it sits quite in the right place. I think it could do with being like half an inch or an inch higher. It just feels like the top being a bit blousy feels a bit too blousy and doesn't feel like it just sort of comes in at the right point at the sides there. I just feel like I constantly want to just sort of pull it up a little bit. So in hindsight, I shouldn't have done that lengthening adjustment, and I guess that's something I could rectify if I made a future version. This was kind of designed to be a wearable toile because I went for fabric that wasn't too expensive. But yeah, something about the waist doesn't sit right, and it just feels a little bit too, I don't know, a bit too blousy maybe. Also, I'm not sure that the shoulders sit quite right. It feels like they're almost falling off of my shoulder a little bit and sitting kind of right on the edge here. I feel like they should be sort of pulled in a bit to be more sitting up here. And that would feel better. I think that combined with the low waist just makes it feel a bit too big on me, and as if I'm wearing a dress that's a size or two too large. I don't know whether the viscose stretched out a bit on the sewing, which is why the sort of shoulder line's sitting out, or whether just the pattern's cut for a slightly different bodice block than I have, or what. But I feel like that would make a difference too if I could kind of pinch that in, and again, yeah, just make it feel a little bit less like it's wearing me. So that's that. And I think also just generally with it being a midi length and a sort of high collar and long sleeves, the whole effect of it just feels like there's just too much fabric, and I just feel like I'm swathed in it, and it doesn't feel very me. I guess for formal dresses, I'm not so used to wearing midi length, and certainly not maybe all in a block colour like this. I'll put a picture up so you can see what it looks like on as well. It just all feels like as if I kind of had bought this dress and then wanted to alter it rather than I'm actually wearing a handmade garment that's designed to fit me. So yeah, there's just a few things about it, as I said, with the finish and fit that don't feel quite right, and I think just the fact that actually the whole style of it just feels like there's too much fabric for me with the long sleeves and the high neck and the midi length. So maybe just not my style as well as the fit. So yeah, those are my thoughts on this dress, which is a real shame because I think it's a really pretty pattern. And I think maybe if I had some more time and I did want to make another version, I could spend the time, you know, making those adjustments, like bringing the shoulders over here, you know, adjusting around here. And again, it would be quite easy to sort of shorten the bodice again. And I could give the neckline another go. I think in a way the neckband would work better in a less sort of shifty drapey fabric, but then the rest of the dress works really well in a drapey fabric, I think. So I'm not sure what I would do there, but I'm just not sure that I have the kind of inclination to go back and revisit the pattern and remake it. But I would like to do something with this fabric to turn it into something that I could get more wear out of, because you can't go wrong, I think, with a black viscose fabric. It is lovely and swishy. So that's this dress. I'm not exactly sure what I want to do with it. I think I'd like to do quite a transformation just to turn it into something different. So it's one I haven't really thought too much about, other than thinking, let's just go for it this Sew Upcycle 23 and just give it a try. So that is my plan. So yeah, it's going to be a bit of a one to keep you in the dark about at the moment, because I'm in the dark about what I'm going to do too. But I have got plans to do something, and I'll be sharing more about it once I've finished it and I really reveal my transformed make on the 31st of October. So I'll be doing that over on Instagram, and I'll also probably do a video here to sort of share what I got up to with both those garments. So hopefully it'll be a lot of fun working on these two projects. I quite like how I've got one handmade garment to work on and one ready to wear, and one jersey make and one woven make, so they'll be quite different. But I'm really looking forward to just giving them both a go, and if the worst comes to worst and they don't work out, at least I've tried to create something more wearable that I'm going to reach for more often. But fingers crossed, I'll be able to create two nice new garments that I'll actually reach for a lot more. So those are my plans for Sew Upcycle 2023. So I thought I'd change back into my actual outfit for today to finish off this video, because I feel a lot more comfortable in this one. So thank you very much for watching this video and hearing about my upcycling projects and my upcycling plans. I hope you've enjoyed hearing all about them. And do keep your eyes peeled over on Instagram on the 31st of October, where everyone will be doing their reveals and showing what they've made and what they've transformed. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see what everyone's done, and it's always a lot of inspiration too. And also do keep your eye out on YouTube. There's a whole vlogger tour going on through the month of October, so lots of people are going to be sharing their upcycling plans too. So yeah, it should be a lot of fun. So thank you again for watching. I hope you're having a lovely day, and I'll hopefully see you again for another video soon. But I'm going to go off now and yeah, maybe start having a bit of a plan about what to get up to on those 2 projects. So wish me luck, and yeah, thank you. Bye.